Thank you very much, Yemi, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our web forum today. Right, so what I'll do is I will be introducing the four panelists in no particular order, and then we'll get going with the questions to them. And we hope that from their answers, you get some insights into how people with neurodiversity, how they navigate higher education, and from that, hopefully, we can learn something and to make things better for anyone in special education. All right, so first panelist I have here is Muhammad Fahmi bin Bukhari. He was born in Gombak, Selangor, and currently residing in Seremban in Negeri Sembilan. Fahmi graduated with a Master of Arts in Southeast Asian Studies from the University of Malaya and a Bachelor of Arts in International and Strategic Studies also from University of Malaya. Since being diagnosed with autism at age of 24, he has become a self-advocate for adults with autism. With experiences in academia and gig work, he understands the need for adequate awareness, support, and training for adults with autism. Fahmi has appeared in mass media such as Hot FM Breakfast Hot on 1st April 2024 and the Panorama on TV1 on 7 December 2025. He completed the Gamuda Enabling Academy in 2025. An avid solo traveler, he is also a content creator on YouTube, whose handle is Fahmi World Facts and Fahmi Versi Bahasa, which focus on history both in Malaysia and abroad. As of July 2026, Fahmi World Facts has 2,000 subscribers, while Fahmi Versi Bahasa has 10,700 subscribers. It's quite a lot of followers. And the second panelist, Dr. Tan Shi, is a lecturer in Penang and a chartered accountant under ACCA. Beyond her teaching responsibilities, Dr. Tan is also a HRD Corp accredited trainer, and she trains the university, parents, and corporates about neurodiversity accommodation using her life experience as a late diagnosed autistic and ADHD woman. Today, she is not only a supporter of the Adopt, Don't Purchase movement for pets, but has also become an advocate of autism awareness, aiming to foster understanding and acceptance within her community and beyond. The third panelist, Adila Munir, discovered at 28 that she hadn't been failing at being neurotypical. She simply wasn't one. Since knowing that she's autistic, she leverages it by making a career out of connecting dots most people don't even see. With a diploma in information management and a degree in psychology, who then served as a graduate research assistant in IIUM's mechatronics lab, being a joint owner of a copyright on a robot-delivered emotional training module for children with autism spectrum disorders. Currently, she's a global master data coordinator. She firmly believes that neurotypicals and neurodivergents are meant to coexist in this world full of compartmentalization. And lastly, Uy Ivan is a teacher who is currently teaching English and Moral Studies at SMK Seri Nibong in Nibong Tebal, Penang. He has been a committee member of Autism Initiatives Malaysia, Aim High, since 2024 and has been doing advocacy on neurodiversity, occasionally as a person with lived experience of autism and ADHD. Ivan was also the recipient of the Gold Medal Award in the category of disabled students at the 2022 USM convocation. Right, so let's welcome all the four panelists. Now we'll start with the questions for them. So question number one is, what were some major challenges you faced during university life? And let's start with Shi Yi.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Alvin. The challenge I have during university life, which is some time ago, even though, but I think the main challenge I can remember is the crowd during exam, because we have a lot of students back then in university. So when I took exam, I need to go to the hall. So when the hall is so big and it actually hosted about 400 plus students. So I actually got very panic when I am in the middle of the hall sitting for exam for 2 hours or 3 hours with other people. So that's why I need to really go and stand by very early so that when I'm allowed to enter, I will be the first few to enter so I can pick a suitable place for me to avoid all my sensory overload. So back then I didn't know, as what Dr. Elvin mentioned, I was a late diagnosed. So back then I didn't know that I have all these issues. So I thought that, oh yeah, it is my own demand, it's my own problem that I need to do this. So yeah, that is one of the major challenge I have for sensory overload. And then of course all the sound, the mic when the lecturers are speaking and so on. So all these actually affect me without me knowing. So all the while when I got home, I got very exhausted, but I didn't know why. So I would like to also share my friend's perspective because we have some members who also have their challenges in their academic journey. Like for example, the way they speak may actually make or irritate some people. And then the lecturer literally say, I don't know whether you are going to graduate. So this is quite hurtful, I believe so. That it caused severe anxiety that manifested physically. So same as my sensory overload, actually, it actually show in my physical symptoms. So I always have stomach issue all the while. So all these are very exhausting, and it is very challenging to actually cope with all these overloads together with the academics. Yeah, that is my sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for sharing, Shi. Adila, what about you? What were some of your major challenges during university life?
For myself would be the information overload, especially when you register for the first week of uni. During my diploma and during my degree, it was just the sheer amount of information you have to digest at one shot. Even throughout the course of the study, trying to keep up with all the deadlines, trying to make sure you are sending things in the right time, trying to make sure you're sending things to the right people. And I think back then we also had this what they call it, this website where handles like it's like the Google classroom sort of thing. So it's like there's 3 point of reference for everything instead of one centralized reference. And that was very difficult for me to navigate all the reference points just to get concise information of what I need to do and what I need to submit and what I need to be wary about. So those were the biggest challenges that I actually faced during my higher education when I was. So that would be it: the cognitive load and the information overload.
Thank you so much, Adila. So it seems like both you and she also had overload in that sense, too much information to take in and to organize. All right. So second question. I noticed that well, Ivan was in the car just now driving. Ivan, are you ready? Otherwise, we'll go to other panelists first. Anyway.
Hello, Alvin. Alvin, I'm okay. I can give I can give my answer directly from the car because I'm not the one driving.
All right. Okay, that's good to know. Yes. All right. So the second question is, what support or accommodations help you the most?
Hello, everyone. My name is Ivan, and I want to apologize if I didn't turn on my camera just now because I am currently in the car, and I just had participated in a so-called language carnival this morning. So I'm on my way home, and I also need to rely on my parents to take one of my students home as well. So that's why you're seeing me in the car. Okay, regarding the supports or accommodations that help me the most, I would say that the willingness to extend my examination times propelled me to greater academic excellence. As someone who struggles with finishing papers on time, it did help me a lot as I tend to panic due to my time blindness. I lose track of time when I answer my examination papers and get distracted easily when the clock is ticking. I also felt grateful for having the ability to postpone my courses due to being overwhelmed by the workload anticipated. I have nothing but praises for USM as it tries very hard to position itself as a neurodivergent friendly university. So all in all, I'm grateful for whatever that USM has accommodated me, and I will cherish that until the end of my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan. Next, I would like to ask Fahmi. I mean, your profile is very impressive, and you are a professional who does a lot of digital content. So obviously, you had pretty much good help for you to arrive where you are right now. So what were some of the accommodations and support that helped you the most when you were in uni?
Okay, thank you for the introduction, Alvin. Uh, for me, what I study in university is less directly related with what I'm doing now in the content creation. However, it helped me a lot during the learning process, and also how to making to explore the thing and make much more proper and such. So what supports or accommodation that helped me the most, I will split it into two parts, which is for generic, which is for all categories of disability, and the second one is specifically for the neurodivergence, and more specifically for the autism people, person with autism. For the generic one, when I was studying in University Malaya for both degree and for master studies, all disabled students are given extra time, which is 30 minutes, regardless of how long the paper is. For example, take example, the paper is 2 hours. So for the disabled student, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes. The reason is why there are 30 minutes of extra is because number one is set up or the machine and also for computers. Machine is usually for the blind because they use like the braille typewriters, and for the others, actually almost everyone, we are using allowed to use a provided laptop. It means not our own, but the university provide a laptop for exam and assignments. And the thing is that the laptop takes time to set up. Sometimes the startup is drawing there, and there is like to like open the Microsoft Word or touch. It takes time, and also there is the 30 minutes also include the time to print out because it must be in hard copy. This is like one of the um, accommodations given by university, not only for the autistics, or people with autism, but also disabled in general. And also, for University Malaya, the disabled students are taking the exams and assignment in a room, which is like less distraction and much more focus on everything is quiet there. Even in the exam hall, there is a one. There's usually the disabled student we take the meeting the exam in the meeting room, which is only disabled student and the examiners, and occasionally the professors are there. Nobody else. Other people are sitting in the large hall. And to ensure that the disabled students are taken care of. That's for the generic one. Everyone's get the support and accommodation. And for the specific one, which means that the things that I specifically requested to the university disability unit and also to the lecturers is that for me, I specifically asked for the flexibility of assignment. Mostly assignment we need to be sent in the form of written form, for example, the essays, the dissertation and such. However, like I asked my supervisor, in addition to the sentences and paragraph, am I allowed to enter to put extra for easy understanding, easy for me to make the dissertation and easy for my supervisors to read it all. I put my maps, I put drawings and diagrams. My supervisor said, yeah, go on, proceed as long as you answer all the research questions. Because in the usually in the final year for the bachelor's and also for the postgrad, there will be like research question. As long as the research question is answered, no matter how form of answer is that, and as long as supervisors and also the examiners understand your answers, that's fine. Which means like I put a lot of diagrams and my map in my dissertation. At least I graduated, so it's like a plus. However, the thing is that the one that I got for the specific one, there is hardly any preceding cases. Which is like for the student before, they maybe like they ask for different thing, or maybe like for me or maybe for the others, you have like your own request for support and accommodation. For my suggestion is that like you can look to the other cases in other universities. For example, like maybe in UM, this first case, you can refer to the other universities like USM, UIA, and UITM, the two more common cases, or even you can refer to the other countries. I remember during my third year, I flew one, two, three, four. During my final year of bachelor degree, I flew to Japan specifically to ask for what type of accommodation they provide there. Because in universities in Japan, they learn from United States, and I didn't have money enough money to go to the States for that. I went to Japan with my own pocket money to learn to visit university what accommodation they provided of. Why I go to Japan is because they all have their own program, especially transition from this from study to work. And that is the thing that I learned a lot and brought to Malaysia and like implemented specifically in East Himalaya. Thank you.
Thank you, Fahmi. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and your suggestions. It's very helpful. Make me feel I want to have a conference just to discuss these things. Anyway, Adila, what about you? What kinds of accommodations and support you found were helpful when you were at university?
So when I did my degree, there was no disability unit, or and according to the what they call it, student support, they have never received a student that has a valid OKU card, or had a student that had a valid in a way a disability in sense of learning disability, or neurodevelopmental disability. So what I did is that I asked them that, could you help give me accommodations such as extra time, because at that point of time my OKU card was under dyslexia. I was this yeah, I asked for extra time. I have asked for a bit of room for me to send my assignments in late. I asked for to be able to be with the same team members throughout my degree. And all of this was granted. Even I was struggling with calculus, and my lecturer said that, since we are able to provide you a room, to an extra time, because the timing will be different if I join everybody else. My lecturer was the one that sat in the exam with me to make sure that if there are any questions, I can directly reach to her. There's also a sick bay in the university, because my university used to be handling students for nursing. So we had like one whole room with beds, and they converted that to a sick bay. And the faculty allowed me to use that as a place to just have a rest, even between classes when I get overwhelmed, because my classes will be like from 8 to 5 or 8 to 6, and that is really important. Also, I had a lecturer who was neurodivergent, and he picked up my neurodivergence in the first class. So having that ally in the system really helps, because he understood why I was asking for these provisions, and he made those reasonable accommodations possible for me. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Adila. So nice and refreshing to hear such compassion from your lecturers. Anyway, moving on to the next question. Were there situations where your needs were misunderstood? I'd like to pose this to Fahmi.
Okay, misunderstanding. So let me start. Okay, sorry for the thing. Okay, let me ready. Okay, for the misunderstanding part, it happens and it will. And the thing is that I was so grateful with the disability unit under the student affairs of UM. The unit are very helpful, and if the one who had the unit my own senior who is blind, so he understand really well what the disabled students are going through throughout the university life. And the support is really immense. Like every time I met him and he said like, what is what is your problem? Do you have any problem? You can share with me, because he also like a function as a counselor for disabled student, and like he also like what do I can provide in addition to whatever to the existing assistance, for example, like allowance from the government, and also the extra time and also flexibility. The thing is, often the misunderstanding happen when the faculty or the department or class did not have any of the disabled students, not only just neurodivergence, but any disabled student. For example, there is not even, let's say there is one class, there is a student with wheelchair. The whole perspective of the class could change in disability, at least in disability in general. Specifically for the neurodivergence, they got the disabled idea already. But this is the challenge for like neurodivergent, because this is the type of invisible disability. So I did have misunderstanding with my own lecturers uh, before, and like he have a hard time to understand, and he say like, what wrong with you? You have head, you have hand, you have legs, you can study normally like others, no problem. That is exact answer. However, like I didn't like take things in that like personally, because like during my time it is very new, the concept. Even the neurodivergent concept is very new. Autism is very new thing, and the potential of me understanding usually happen when I was taking class in the Faculty of Economics, which is like another faculty that my major in. The misunderstanding didn't do happen because hardly any disabled students study in economics. But the thing is that I wrote my master's dissertation about economics, because the thing is that we need to broaden the facts that misunderstanding happened because there is no people, or there is no like some examples that the student or even the lecturers, they can like they taking care, like they can learn to I mean they can learn to, whenever even that at least one, the one disabled student or one neurodivergent student, that is one person that start to change everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Fahmi. It sounds like having more inclusion and more awareness can really help with mutual understanding. Yeah. Ivan, did you have any experience of like misunderstanding about your situation?
Hello. I don't think I had issues with USM. In fact, USM was very supportive when me and a couple of disabled students wanted to revive the almost defunct CISWA. For starters, CISWA was a society that was exclusive to disabled students who wanted to participate in activities that are tailored to them. With them and Dr. Mariam from PTPTM's help, we managed to run an online sharing session during my tenure as the president, even though I was in my final year back then. The BEPA staff led by Puan Shilawanis have been my backbone throughout my 4 years in the large campus. To sum up everything, I truly appreciated the support and facilitation by USM. They did help me a lot. So I have nothing but praises for the USM team. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ivan. It sounds like they were pretty open about being curious and about the needs that you had at the time. Oh, right. So that's good. Okay, now next question. Since Adila and she touched on feeling overloaded, how did social or sensory environments affect your university experience? She, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Alvin. Pertaining to this question, I saw there's one question from the floor talking about how do I know if my kid has sensory overload, what are the symptoms? So I think I can share my experience. I think everyone is different, but then my experience is that I got very exhausted, but I didn't know that I was exhausted. So when I got home, what happened was I had very bad temper. It's like if let's say I really have bad emotions, right? Everyone can see it. So always my parents always say that I write my emotions on my face. So very obvious emotion, and then very irritated, very exhausted, um will be very angry about a very small thing. So I guess that is what um presented on me. Also, I'm not sure about others, but it can be somehow a symptom or a sign that we experience sensory overload. So back to the question, how would this social and sensory environment affect us? Because to me, I didn't know that I was on the spectrum. So I thought it was my problem. Because other people could do it, but I couldn't do it. So I guess it is my problem. So what I did was I tried to mask. And back then, I didn't know it was masking. I just tried to be a normal person. So whatever emotions I have, whatever feelings I have, overload I have, I try to press it down. So I guess now we call this term as masking, right? So when I try to mask, I try to mimic what other people do. And so I do the same so that I can actually mix with them. So I have been through my university's life with masking, and I learned very well masking technique. Right? But I'm not saying that masking is a good thing, because somehow or rather it caused us very exhausted. So now I actually use that masking techniques um, from time to time when I really need to do so. So I have a technique of using it now. And then I would also like to share some experience from the members of Aim High, that they say that because sometimes communication can be very difficult for them. So they end up being themselves. So they become a lone ranger. So in terms of like studying, in terms of mixing with friends or what, they choose to be alone because they feel like they are very misunderstood. So uh because of this, right, socializing can be very exhausting for them. So using up their battery, and so sometimes they prefer to be themselves, and sometimes it will also accelerated to survival mode, that they will enter into fight or flight, which is very exhausting. So that is our general and overall experience.
Yeah, sounds very tiring to mask, to have to keep on being like somebody else and not feel very natural. So I suppose group assignments one must have been really difficult if that's the case.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess. Yeah, I guess for the members, I guess group assignment is very difficult because it involves a lot of communications and it is very spontaneous. Yeah.
yeah. And Ivan, what about you? Sensory environments, how did it affect your experience at uni?
One of the reasons behind the desperate revival of CISWA and USM was the lack of avenues for disabled students to exhibit their talents and shine differently. I tried the Buddhist club and the Chinese club in my first year and found the community progression system to be ableist towards disabled students. One of CISWA's goals is to ensure equal participation of disabled students in campus-oriented social activities, and I think we have achieved that during my tenure as the president of the society. Next, I actually preferred staying alone in the dormitory and was glad that USM was able to accommodate me by offering such a room, which is usually reserved for the dormitory's committee members. The infrastructure was old, so it took me some time to adjust myself to the conditions. I actually encountered lizards in the dorm, and to be frank, I'm not a person who likes lizards, but I guess I had to overcome it. It was wild. It was wild. It was chaotic, but otherwise, I really like the facilities and surroundings. I like the library. I like the hall. I like the additional activities that happen in the campus, like those night markets, those days, wandering alone in the campus, trying to find something to eat. Perhaps it is due to me being able to tolerate loud noises and overstimulating sensory experiences. I have to admit that I did mask during my university years. On another note, I also like the accessibility to major shopping malls by buses. I shop at Queensway Mall, Conference Bukit Jumbo, and Sunshine Square almost every week. I also managed to befriend a couple of interesting people throughout my time on campus.
Thanks, Ivan. Sounds like you coped pretty well then, despite masking. All right, now, final question for all of you. This is your, I would say, big wish. What kind of changes would you like universities to make for neurodivergent students? Let's start with Shi.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Alvin. If there is one major change I wish to see, right? I would like the university to be a safe and structured, to have a safe and structured ecosystem, which can actually support neurodivergent students and allow neurodivergent students to actually disclose their identities safely. I think this is very important because I'm from university as well. So what we are facing, the problem that we are facing currently is we want to help these students, but then sometimes they don't disclose because they are afraid of stereotypes and these discrimination and so on. So we would like to encourage them to actually disclose without, it's not that making everyone know, but it's just for us to provide necessary support to help them to go through their university life. So I think that ecosystem must exist in order to allow them to feel safe when they actually disclose. So I would say three spaces that we need to go through. The first one is we need to educate and change the mindsets of educators. It means educators cannot be thinking that these people, neurodivergent individuals, are taking advantage, are just excuses. They cannot have this kind of mindset. They need to know that they are wired differently. It's not that they want it to be different, or it's not that they are lazy. So I think the education must start. So that's the reason I took up that HRTC, accredited trainer certificate, and I wish to train these members to understand better about university students who are on the spectrum, because they are the one that have no problem with their intelligence, and then they will go into university. So we need to support them. They need somehow a level of support, so we need to support them. So we need to see how we can do so. That's the first stage. The second stage is we need to redefine communication. It is not about talking face-to-face or presentation is considered communication only, but communication can also be texting, can also be emailing, and so on. So there are some kind of communication that individuals on the spectrum will be more comfortable with, and we need to recognize that is a valid form of communication. So I guess this concept must change. We don't label people poor communicators just because they cannot do presentation. And then the third stage is to provide proactive structure in institutional support. We need accessible accommodation. It means we need something like, for example, quiet, private study space, calm room that can really help neurodivergent students to reset themselves if anything happens. Just like there's one asking about burnout. So these people, when they have burnout, they need some place to actually calm themselves down and reset. We need to have all this accessible accommodation. And then we need to understand that every individual on the spectrum or even neurodivergence, they are different. So we need to understand individually to figure out how can we actually provide them the special, the tailored support that can best support their journey in the university. So I think we need to shift from a campus where students exhaust themselves trying to fit in to an environment that actively welcome them for who they are. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shi. So important, your points. Will you be publishing them somewhere?
I hope so. I hope so. I hope so.
Okay, I think we should collect all your wish lists and then publish. Anyway, so Fahmi, what about you? What would be your wish list moving forward for universities?
So my wish list is not too long. Yeah, it's just really not really long. The first thing is like both parties need to open to new ideas and suggestions. It is not only for on the side of the academics and also management, but also for the neurodivergence as well. welcome the new ideas is that like maybe like the things is never done before in universities. It's like a kind of like a risk to do, or like something that's never been done before. For example, like there is no one maybe previously there's no one put like mind maps and diagrams in the postgraduate dissertation. Nobody doing that. So why we should give you an exemption? This is a kind of things that both neurodivergence and also like the academics and management need to expect and need to find a middle point of where there's a common between between the requests. Um, uh, like need to open as well. Um, and the second thing is like the neurodivergence should be integrated into the uh, into university, either both the students and and also staff, both academic and non-academic. Not to assimilate. Everyone need to be extrovert. Everyone need to be talkative, and everyone need to expect they know the social cues and also know the jargons and also the words, secret handshake, such. Not like that. And also do not discriminate as well. And like for example, like neurodivergence put into the special room all the time or put into the special group as such without meeting anyone other than outside the bubble. It is also like strongly discouraged because I know a public university did that way. And my when I heard that, it's like kind of, do they have a friends outside of their protected bubble? And the one who and the one the I have like discussion to, she hardly say the direct answer. So I say, so like the proper way is to integrate, which means like neurodivergence and neurotypicals are together. Not to assimilate, which means like everyone needs to be the same, or not to discriminate, which means like neurotypicals in their own world and neurodivergence can have their own world together. Like water and fire can cancel each other, but you need both to like to have like a balanced life. And the third one is to celebrate achievement and victories, which means that even the thing is so small. For example, like maybe like someone is winning the at the back at the, maybe like dean's list, for example. In neurodivergence got a dean's list. Maybe like okay, is it quite a deal for a lot of people, but for the neurodivergence, it's really big deal. You know how hard it is to get a dean's list. And even in Himalaya, the dean's list is 4.75 and 3.75, which is even higher than it is hard to get. So celebrate achievement and victories. It's not a thing to brag. It is just to prove that neurodivergence can do the things that neurotypicals can do. It is kind of proof of achievement. For example, like the first thing, like we are like maybe we need to request like the assistant, we need to request support, we need to request a private room, blah blah blah. Proof to the universities, to the management, to the professors that these are the things that neurodivergence can achieve. So if you provide us with for the support that we need, we can achieve more. Give a case, give like a kind of like good track record. So whenever like in late for the late in the future, whenever like a new supports are needed, they say like, oh, we this and achieve this. That is what I see the point. Number one, open to the new ideas. A suggestion. Number two, integrate, not assimilate. Number three, celebrate the achievement, no matter how small it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Fahmi. You reminded me of a simile of the orchestra. You know, we have got different instruments in the orchestra. You don't need to all be the same instrument, otherwise it'll be very boring, right? So inclusivity for me is like coming up with an orchestra where each instrument has got their role to play. And when you put them together, they come up with beautiful music. To me, that's inclusivity. Thank you so much for sharing, Fahmi. All right, Adila, since you popped up on my screen, I'll ask you first, what would be your wish list for what universities can do for neurodivergent students?
I think the first thing is that with any decision made, talk to us before talking about us. Include us in the process. We would like and we're very happy to give input and be in a way reciprocal with whatever that is going to be the end decision. For example, like I had experience where I was doing my postgrad, and postgrad in that postgrad program, there was somebody who just couldn't cope with the subject. Whether this person is neurodivergent or not, I'm not sure, but looks like neurodivergent. So what the university said is that, okay, that going from developmental psychology, why don't you do another program from different faculty that is easier? So in this situation, the crux is that, are we really meeting the needs of those who really need it? Are we including these people in the decisions made? And why is an easier program a better choice than actually supporting the individual? So that now the university can be like a sandbox or playground for everybody in the university system to experience how it is like to interact with people with neurodivergence. And when the students graduate as scholars, they can bring these values back into the community, where they will serve the community in whatever field they are. I also like to emphasize that whenever students come in with the diagnosis of mild autism or high functioning autism, or used to be Asperger's, the real deal is that when it's called mild, it means that you experience it mildly, but on our end, it's a full-blown experience. So we are not a walking diagnosis. We are people with having challenges, going through and trying to navigate these daily challenges. And the thing is, opening access to one, open access to all. So once you have that, the ability to support, you might be able to support somebody with similar conditions or different conditions for in the future. So, and lastly, I would say that all the individuals with autism enter university by merit. So the thing is at the end of the day, we are entering by merit, not by the diversity, equity, and inclusion quota. So kindly, respect us as where we have gotten, and not like a charity, a charity token. That's all from me.
Right. Thank you so much, Adila. Got me also thinking about empowerment and not charity. Yeah. And I like your sharing on the label mild, who it is mild to. I think that's a very good point that a lot of people need to also understand. All right. Well, Ivan also appeared now on my screen. Ivan, your wish list. Do you care to share with us?
I agree with what the three other panelists said. Instead of us abiding by the wants and needs of the university should listen to us before implementing any initiatives that are supposed to benefit the neurodivergent community. The double empathy problem has persisted in the community for the longest time, and it is time for neurotypicals to unlearn and relearn the concept of neurodiversity. I strongly recommend that neurotypicals register for the spell framework workshops if they have the ability to do so. Lecturers must also not dismiss the realities of neurodivergent students and give flexibility to them when it comes to deadlines and the scopes of their assignments. Everyone is willing to go hand in hand with neurodivergent individuals, the world would be a better place for neurodivergent individuals to intervene. Before I rest my case, I would also like to take this opportunity to urge campuses to come up with a plan for those neurodivergent students who are homeschooled or educated via alternative pathways due to various reasons. I have been told that it is hard for such students to enter campuses due to their non-conforming educational journey. I believe education is a necessity instead of a luxury. Thus, universities ought to formulate strategies that can accommodate such neurodivergent students as they transition into a fixed higher education setting. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Ivan. Thank you so much, all panelists. Your points have all been very, very wonderful, actually. Just to recap everything, I really feel that all these should be published and shared in more forums for universities to take on, as well as to discuss within the university management. And I like what Attila pointed out. So basically, you are summarizing. I mean, what can be summarized from what you said is nothing about us without us. Yeah, to engage everyone who's on the spectrum on decision making rather than assuming what might be helpful for you. All right. Okay, now we are going to move on to the next speaker, and then we'll have Q&A together, right? So next speaker is Tan Cheng Yi, who's a licensed chartered educational psychologist and a mother of 3 grown children. Over the past 25 years, she has specialized in treating neurodevelopmental conditions, learning difficulties, and mental health concerns in children and young people. Cheng Yi has a privately run clinic at Subang Jaya Medical Center and is an honorary fellow at the University of Nottingham, Malaysia. I'd like to also say that Cheng Yi was my course mate when I was in college and university, so it's nice to see her again here. All right, Cheng Yi, on to you.
Thanks so much, Alvin. Yeah, it's good to be serving together on this platform. So for the next 30 minutes, I have been given a topic to share, to try and pull together everything that has been shared. I would prefer this not to be a monologue, and I'm grateful for people who have written in the chat earlier. So if we could keep that going. In fact, I've got 1 or 2 questions that I will post to the audience, and then you all can also answer so that we can also hear your views. I do believe that this so-called challenge is a collective responsibility. Yeah, so I will come in from that point. So you can share if you're a parent or lecturer, educator, or even a professional or a neurodivergent person. So I won't go into the definitions of autism, and I will assume that people have enough awareness so that I can spend more time talking about practical action. Okay, so as you put your thoughts on the chat, I mean, I think I'm asking about these 2 questions, like if you're a neurodivergent adult or a parent of a neurodivergent person. Can you complete this sentence? I wish universities understand. What are your thoughts? If you're a lecturer or educator, I wish my students understand. I think it's a 2-part, right? I mean, there's 2 sides to this. Okay, so earlier we've heard from our neurodivergent friends about their lived experiences of higher education. And I believe all of you, have heard them agree that they survived or even thrived in spite of the inadequacies of education institutions. But many here may be those who, for different reasons, have given higher education a try, but have not succeeded. So I do want to acknowledge that there are huge complexities in supporting neurodivergent students in higher education. And I said just now that at least 2 sides to the dilemma. 1, the support is not easily accessible, right? We've heard. Not all, like Ivan has said a lot of good things about the university he went to. And also, number 2, it cannot be simply provided because institutions of higher education are huge organizations, so it's quite complex. But I hope after this talk, we can be closer to understand from both sides, and understanding can be struck. And just like Fabi has said earlier, it is really a middle ground, right? Because we want to both win-win. Okay. So autistic adults who make it to higher education often have strong enough academic capabilities. However, that's just half of the story, right? Social skills, executive functioning, emotional regulation, sensory regulation, these are distinct things from intellectual intelligence. And these are also hidden things, right? As she has pointed out earlier, they are wired up differently. So the wiring is not always obvious to other people, to the lecturers, to the educators. So especially when they first enter university, we know that our young people may take a longer time to adapt to transition and to the change. And I think today many universities recognize neurodiversity. Awareness campaigns are common, and more students are willing to disclose their diagnosis. Yet many neurodivergent students continue to struggle because support often arrives too late, or is too generic, or it assumes that all autistic students have similar needs. So I share a bit of research about challenges of students with ASD in higher education. So the main finding tells us that, things like managing everyday life and independent study is one of the main issues. So for the first time, they could be leaving home, maybe going overseas, or even going outstation, or actually just going on an LRT, MRT to get to university, right? It's something maybe completely new to them. The social environment, right? The socially mediated learning experiences like group work, right? Is something that can be totally new, especially in our Malaysian education system. We don't have a lot of opportunities for that kind of collaborative work. So, a big percentage of the university life is really outside the lecture hall, right? A lot of social things happen in the dormitories, etc. There's also the issue of disclosing and seeking assistance. So many people have no idea how or where or when or to whom they should disclose their diagnosis. And after disclosing, they may also have a sense of, their psychological safety is at risk because they don't know whether they have told the right people and whether it's people they can trust or not. So I think there's a lot of factors involved in that. Yeah. And in some cases, in many cases, they do not even know until much later that they are neurodivergent. And we've heard that from a few of our panelists. And so that is something that, if you don't know, how do you even ask for help, right? So I would like to propose these two ways of thinking that can help us move beyond awareness towards meaningful support. I think autism should be understood as dimensional, meaning every autistic student has a unique profile of strengths and challenges. And number two, support should be viewed as existing in tiers rather than a single accommodation. Yeah, let me explain a little bit. So this, if you can think of autism rather than a line, but like a pie chart, and it represents an area that of autism, each slice represents an area of autism that we all, commonly known, like their social communication, sensory processing, flexibility in coping, emotional regulation, anxiety, attention, motor coordination, and so forth. And everyone may have a different pie, right? So you can have 3 students, and we've listened to our panelists, they're all so different. Student A could be excelling academically, but have significant sensory sensitivities, and that's a big barrier. And because of that, they have high anxiety, but they could also have strong organizational skills. So a mixture of strengths and challenges. Student B could be excelling in social communication, but have very poor executive functioning. So they have difficulty starting assignments. So that kind of procrastinator, difficulty starting their task, but they have minimal sensory issues. And then you could have student C who is highly articulate. Yeah, I think all our panelists here are highly articulate. They could have very strong memory, so they're very good in certain subjects, but they have severe fatigue after social interactions and they need significant recovery time. So their battery take a longer time to recharge. So after they have performed excellent, presentations and fantastic group work, you would never imagine that they are going downhill already after that, and because they don't have time to recover, the next assignment come along, they are suffering as a result of that pace that is expected. Everybody expect to go at the same pace. So all these 3 students may receive the same diagnosis, but they require different supports. So I'll talk a little bit about tiers of social support framework. I think all universities or all schools or in institutions should have this mindset that support should come in tiers. So, and also the fact that students may move between the tiers throughout university depending on the stress, workload, and life circumstance. So the first years are really adjusting. Maybe they are a kind of tier 2 support. But then when they get to year 2, they're cruising, they're learning new things, and they're really a bit more settled. But then come to 3rd and 4th year, it's like so stressful because the anxiety of, starting to look for work, internship, other things come into their lives. Or maybe they have other issues with, their parents being sick, or they're breaking up with their girlfriend, boyfriend, and things like that happen in normal everyday life. So they could slide between the layers. So what is a tier 1 support? Tier 1 support is like for everyone. So this is like, having the mindset, UNICEF having the mindset that if you make it accessible, then everybody can thrive, whether it's neurodivergent. And Fahmi also mentioned there are other types of disability, right? Like there are people who come into university. So the environment is accessible to all. Then the tier 2 is focusing on reducing barriers, right? So for students who need additional support, but they're largely independent. And tier 3, we still have those who are clever enough to go to university. They want to study, right? But they really need more intensive and coordinated and personalized support. So giving some clear tier 1 examples, universities, higher education, having clear module expectations, consistent communication from lecturers. So same, or the lecturers try to do things a similar way, have the same platforms, perhaps even consider having lecture recordings, well-organized online learning platforms. Now we're going into the AI world, so making use of technology, predictable assessment timeline, so everything published from the very beginning. And sometimes parents, before they go into university, they want to help their children to also know what kind of assessments systems they would have. And so having this information accessible so that they can make informed choices before they enter the course, that would be a great thing. Flexible ways of accessing learning materials, staff train. I think staff training is really important. I think while there's good intentions, there are a lot of people with good hearts, and people who have been employed, to support in the learning support departments, they need to have a variety of disability awareness, not just about the physical or the sensory disabilities, but autism, and especially at higher education institution, the level 1 neurodivergent people. As you can see, all our panelists today, they are very capable people. So not looking at them and realizing their potential, seeing their strengths, and not assuming that all autistic adults are the same. Tier 2 will be something that maybe at the level of the university or educators, the lecturers, so some kind of academic coaching, but that could also be separate. So sometimes university having links to academic coaches that can provide this, even if they cannot, what are some of the referral lists, pathways that they can provide, executive functioning support. And these things can be a course or a transition program. Like how some people come into university, they need to top up on their English, so it's an additional course. Like onboarding, perhaps we can consider that. Study skills, and also more importantly, peer support. It could be peer support for only neurodivergent people, or peer support in general where there is an inclusive society, safe place for students to go. Sensory-friendly study places, so some quiet spaces, so the sensory overwhelm will be reduced. And just regular check-ins with the students. So the goal here is to reduce barriers before they become a crisis. Tier 3, individual accommodation plans, and we've heard of some of them. I think Fahmi explained it very well. Some mental health interventions, so easily access to counselors, mental health professionals, psychological support, social coaching. Yeah, coming to university demands a higher level of sociability. Flexible attendance arrangements. So having the understanding that, the student is actually doing their work, putting in their effort, but then not to be so nitty-gritty about you have to be here on time and things like that. Crisis planning, where do you signpost when you hear about students who really are needing the help that is beyond the university? Do you have a crisis helpline or even referral for help. Yeah. So, and more importantly, I think, as I said, this is really a collaboration between university, family, healthcare provider, and etc. How do we make that happen and that dialogue between all of us? And this supports are more intensive, coordinated. It has to be personalized. So where is that platform for students and families to come in safely to seek this kind of help? Because tier 3 help may be a little bit more sensitive, and they would want people to to feel safe to come in the first place. Yeah. So key message here is that support is not all or nothing, and students may move between tiers throughout university depending on the stress, workload, and life circumstances, and support should be dynamic rather than fixed. So I want to address some of us here, and these are the stakeholders, I think, when it comes to the topic that we're talking about today. So we'll talk a lot about higher education and how they can pivot the support. And I want to turn my attention a little bit on parents and perhaps even the neurodivergent adult. I think understanding your rights, right, in the first place is really good. So the Malaysian law says that, you have got the rights to access for higher education and reasonable accommodation. So the word here is reasonable, right? So everybody has to be able to give and take in that situation. And so it has to be reasonable, the accommodation, as no exclusion solely because of disability. So how the university is able to provide all those things, it really depends case by case, right? But at least as parents, as consumers, right, as people who are potentially going to university, we know our rights. Higher education is also different. So as parents, if you have teenage children or children who are going into higher education, please remember that, while in school, you may be the main person coordinating the support. But when it comes to university, the main thing is think about how you're preparing your young person, your child, to advocate for themselves. Okay, because the biggest transition difficulty at university is really becoming taking that responsibility for your own support. And so we need to foster the students' skills in self-advocacy. So we should have a kind of mindset, a healthy mindset that reasonable accommodation isn't about, lowering standards. It's not easier exams or waiving competencies. What it means is we shall work together towards removing barriers. That means having what we heard earlier, flexible deadlines, extra time, lecture recordings, and quiet exam rooms. I also want to ask, what about things like diagnosis? It's hard to ask for support. It's not clear what kind of support and how to support. The university find that hard to do that if you don't have a diagnosis. So for this very slippery topic, sometimes parents find it difficult to broach this subject, like, do I diagnose? Do I want my child to be diagnosed? Because there's stigma, etc. But diagnosis, in my opinion, can open the door. And diagnosis helping to also understand the different profiles. I showed earlier is a pie chart, right? So what kind of strengths and what kind of limitations does your child have? And what kind of support do they then need? And if you're a neurodivergent person, think about yourself, like, what are your strengths? What are your biggest barriers? So there is also that soul searching, that also asking yourself, what do I need now from my university? I know I've got the right to attend university. I know I have the right for some reasonable accommodation. What is it that I really need from my university or my higher education institution? What has helped me before in high school? It might be a little bit different in university. So you have to think about what support do I actually need now? And if you're not sure about that, maybe you can talk to other people who have gone to university. So the goal is not to get an advantage or not to get special treatment, but it's a fair opportunity so that we can all participate right? And develop the independence for success. Yeah. Right. So thank you for listening. I'm sure there are questions accumulated. I have not looked at the chat while I was giving this talk. Thanks, Alvin.
Thank you, Cheng Yi. Wonderful, wonderful sharing there. I wish this was recorded. Anyway, sure you can repeat. Anyway, there's a question here for Cheng Yi. I think it's more of a personal one. Lecturer with a master's in educational psychology, but wasn't formally trained in psychoeducational assessments or clinical reasoning. Yeah, so what advice would you give for such a psychologist on providing support to neurodivergent students within the scope of practice? I suppose this master's is more to pedagogical rather than actual practice.
Yeah. I think I've met many educational psychologists, perhaps in similar situation. And maybe what I can suggest is there's a lot of self-learning that comes after our masters. Yeah. So this is what you can do, attach yourself somewhere or to learn from other psychologists. Yeah, I think the possibilities are still there.
Yeah, pretty tricky, isn't it? Because we
Yes.
haven't got a matured psychology practice policy yet.
True.
Anyway, a very good question here from Sohail. How could students deal with stigma? I suppose this is where we have diagnosis. That's like what you say, a slippery topic.
You are addressing it to all of us in the panel, right, Alvin?
Yeah, anyone can answer. Especially those with lived experience, and I find that it's super valuable for anyone with lived experience to share because this is something that you live through. So any form of coping, I suppose, is based on experience.
Maybe I can start first. Is that how to deal with stigma? In a way, you have to look at the autism, the neurodivergence as a part of you, not as a separate entity. So when you see it like that, and people say that, oh, you're getting special treatment, oh, you're using this, you're using your autism card for for an easier pathway. You have to think back and say that if I didn't disclose, it would have been worse than having it disclosed. So, and try to get support from people like the counselors in campus or the mental health professionals. I'm sure they're very happy to support, because I actually experienced stigma from when I was trying to complete my postgrad from the faculty itself, because I was autistic, despite declaring my autism, and despite in the interview that I declared my autism and they had no problem. So it really depends on how do you want to see it, because in the end of the day, you're gonna have autism and you're gonna deal with it. So best to approach it with the people that are capable of handling it with you, to walk aside with you, the safe people, and try to find your safe people. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Yeah, great point there, Adila. Thank you so much. I suppose sometimes the stigma also comes with disbelief. You got autism, but then you can talk. How come? You probably get that kind of responses. How would you like handle those situations?
Dr. Alvin,
Yeah.
the statement that you just mentioned, I think I've heard it numerous times when I actually tell people that I was diagnosed with autism. Then people start saying, then I think I'm a little bit autistic as well. Then people also say something like, oh, then I think you are very mild. I saw someone who is much more severe and so on. So they start comparing and so on. So I think this happens. And then I agree with what Adila said, because we need to know that it is ourselves. I mean, it is not a separate entity. It is autism is together with ourselves. So first thing that I think individual on spectrum need to do is to accept ourselves, to really accept ourselves. It's not just about, oh, I'm telling people I have autism, not just about that, but to really accept that we do have something that we may not be able to do, just like normal people. So when it comes together with you, when you really accept that yourself is, someone with autism or autistic individual, which is different from neurotypicals, then when people actually say something, right, you understand that they don't really understand the thing. You know that they don't really understand. And so that actually encourage more advocacy. But it somehow will minimize the I mean, it will minimize how the sentence actually hurt you. That's my opinion. Yeah.
Thanks, Shi. Now let's go to the chat. I think quite a number of questions there. One is for Cheng Yi on diagnosis opening door to support. I'll read out Cheng Yi. In the case of a student assessed to have borderline traits but does not qualify for a diagnosis, yet the student is definitely experiencing the challenges of being a neurodivergent, what can be done? I suppose like those who fall through the crack, they're not really properly diagnosed, but they are having challenges.
Yeah, I think that's case happens quite often. It's a catch-22 situation when, parents do a lot to support their children, so they overcome a lot of their challenges, but they may still, kind of have a borderline trait, right, or diagnosis. And I think that's the reason why I talked about the tiers of support, that if we have the tiers of support and not assume that, all or nothing, just because you have a diagnosis, therefore you deserve it, and you don't have diagnosis, you don't deserve it. Having that kind of mindset is difficult. So I think for that parent, perhaps having a professional or somebody who was able to write a statement or write a letter to itemize, because actually the truth is it's very hard to categorize everybody. There's no like universal, autism. That's why we say the pie chart, everybody is a different, there's student A, B, C, D, E, etc. And so being able to say that these are the challenges that are barriers to, doing this exam or whatever, I think that is important and that's a way I would advocate for the child's needs.
Right, thanks, Cheng Yi. Celine, I hope that's something that answer your question. Yep.
Yes. Can I say something here as a parent?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think firstly, parents must be open, and the adults too, to have a diagnosis, because without a diagnosis, you can't get the support. Okay. So then the next thing I would do is that bring your child, if possible, if it's local university, your adult, maybe 18 or have done your A-levels or whatever, accompany them to the campuses and talk to the people there. Okay, whatever cost, it's just an informal, visit. I think that is very important. Okay. Many parents that I've spoken to, especially those who have level 1 or Asperger's or higher autism, they do have a diagnosis, but the question they always ask me is, should they declare or not? So it's always a catch-21. If you don't declare, you don't get the support. All right. And everyone, I believe, Malaysia has moved forward in neurodiversity. The support is there. It's just that you need to find the pockets of people who are willing to help. Okay. At the end of the day, that is key. The course that your child does too. The liaison officer is very important. Okay. That person will be the one that will keep in touch with your adult child who will be at uni. Okay. The other thing that people are concerned about is always accommodation, got to leave home. So how my next thing is look at accommodation. So if you declare, many of the universities now actually provide accommodation right through the years that your adult child will be on uni. Okay. But if you don't declare, then sorry lah, Okay, that's my sharing.
Thanks, Yemi. I suppose, stigma has got a lot of factor to play here, because I hear a very common fear from parents is, diagnosis? Oh, I don't want my son to spoil his future. There's always this assumption that the diagnosis will totally spoil your future. And that's why I'm glad to have this forum, because we have got 4 neurodivergent professionals here whose future is not spoiled because you are functioning and you are earning a living. And you're open with it. So, well done and thank you so much. Yeah, you make the professionals work much easier.
Dr. Alvin, may I take a little bit time
Sure, please.
to comment what the Madam Yami said earlier. If someone do diagnosis and the university accept the diagnosis because this is a part of the process to help. When someone get the diagnosis or even properly get the card OKU, which is issued by Department of Welfare, number one, for sure, you are guaranteed to stay in the campus. That I can say. You are guaranteed to stay in the campus, number one. Number two is that there will be a financial assistance. And number three, if the campus in the Klang Valley, OKU card holders can get the public transport, LRT, MRT, and bus for free.
Oh, there you go. Thank you, Fahmi. All right. Supei's got a good question as well. When it comes to declaring the situation, how likely is the university going to be discriminatory, and is there a chance this will affect future opportunities or jobs? From what I know, practices are very professional, and if you do declare, you're declaring to, for example, the head of program, and where needed, the head of program will communicate to each lecturer on the needs of the student, and it is a confidential thing. We don't simply, once somebody declares, we don't tell everybody the diagnosis. It then provides the platform for the student to reach out to the lecturers on their needs, and then they can discuss on what needs to be provided in terms of accommodation. So with any declaration, it is not a public declaration. It is a declaration to the teaching team. And even within the teaching team, if you don't give, for example, the head of department permission to share, they won't share it. It is something that is respected between the head and the student. It's something that we respect. So I'm just answering based on my experience lah. And you're specifically asking whether Sunway is supportive. Yes, Sunway is definitely supportive. We have got a welfare team that works very closely with lecturers, and I believe that many other unis do the same thing as well. We have had a forum, I think, by universities, and I can safely say that universities in Malaysia are quite, very open to, accepting and focused on facilitating inclusion in a respectful manner. Yeah, so declaration, I don't think should be an issue. I know that a lot of students are still quite afraid to declare, especially with classmates, and we respect that. So we will facilitate where needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I add, Alvin, there was also
Yeah,
a
sure.
comment earlier, somebody by the name of Hihi seemed to struggle to get along with group project team members.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I just will add on with what Yemi has also shared earlier. I think there's this phrase that somebody shared with me about rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria, right? So I think bad experiences, some people have been mentioning, their bad experiences of approaching for help and help not given. And I think that happens. But like what Yemi says, is like finding the pocket of people who will, be understanding and support. It has to start there, and don't reject totally. Just because you have one or two bad experiences, put that off completely. I think, so I think that's maybe the message I wanted to share. There will be somebody, and somewhere. Maybe it takes time, but yeah, just not be giving up totally.
Yeah, thanks for that. And that's a very common struggle I find among students who may be on the spectrum. They have like 1 or 2 experiences of rejection, and then even from the lecturer, when they reach out to the lecturer say, you are just like anybody else. You need to, they give a very brutal answer, and then they certainly like give up, which is unfortunate. But yeah, so I think we need to put in the message to show that, diversity also includes people who are not nice to you. So you need to find I think Adila, was it you who said you find your safe people? Yeah, very important to have safe people and your allies.
Yeah, Prof. Alvin,
Yeah.
I would like to talk up for the question of how likely is the university going to be discriminatory, and is there a chance will affect the future opportunity on job? I think for university, right, in my opinion, for university, they are already quite open to enroll students with neurodivergence, and they are actively looking into supporting these students. So I think for university, not really a problem, honestly, to say, not really a problem. Even though some universities can be moving faster, some not so fast, but I think they are looking, they are start exploring this to support students with neurodivergence. But to be honest, to say in terms of job opportunity, I think Malaysia is still on the way. I would say on the way, where there are some companies which are not so open to it yet, honestly to say. So that's the reason I think training the HR team and also the managers about neurodivergence employees are very important. This is very important nowadays. I think because when the university start to accept, right, start to support these students, they will sooner or later go into the job field. They will go into the employment field. So I think the next thing to do is actually to advocates for the accommodation in the employment. So I think that hopefully can, enhance or can improve the situations in the job field. Yeah, so that's what I want to add in. Yeah.
Thanks, Chi. I suppose that's where the tier system also comes in, right? In the university, if you can identify someone who might have that risk, then we want to provide some form of active intervention to facilitate the transition. I don't think any uni will purposely, maliciously, want to prevent you from getting a job. It's not what universities do. And if there are things like that, then it's, in a way, I would say illegal already, because we've got the rights to get equal access. Okay, let me screen up. Are there any other answers you want to give to any of the questions on chat? I'm sorry, I'm not able to screen through quickly enough. My brain is also quite neurodiverse in a sense. I'm a bit overwhelmed already. Overloaded.
I'd like to address a question that Chris Lim made. So the question is, will AI help or make it worse for the student? I would say I'm very thankful for AI. It has taken a lot of the cognitive load that you have to take. Like what I did when AI was introduced is actually I asked AI, this is my subject, this is what I'm studying. Please list down the books that are helpful for me. So I'm not using AI to replace my brain, but as a companion to help me streamline my thoughts. So yeah, AI would make it worse, but you need to learn how to use it. It's a tool. It's not another part of you that will do the things for you. So yeah, I think that is key. But it's also interesting that some universities are against AI so much, but when you move into you transition into working, and suddenly you're told, oh, we have an AI agent, please use this AI agent for all of your work. So that gap in adapting AI from university to workplace needs to be addressed, needs to be streamlined to ensure that we are agreeable on what AI is and can do and what it cannot do. So that's my take.
Thanks, Adila. Because we also need to be aware that AI can also hallucinate, and give you the wrong answers. All right. scanning
Hi,
through.
Prof. Alvin. Can I still address the question by he?
Yeah, please
Because I
do,
think,
Yemi. You are
yes,
MC. You have full control over all of us, actually.
yeah.
You can mute my
Now,
mic anytime.
right. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I think the question was, he is there. I seem to struggle to get along with group project team members. I am always left out. I think we did pick this question up. I seek help from lecturers, but she asked me to settle on my own with teammates. It is really very challenging. So my question to Hihi is whether you declare that you are on the spectrum or other neurodiversity. My take would be maybe you should try, if you declare, do go to your well-being team and ask for help so that somebody can help you negotiate this with this lecturer. It's only one particular lecturer. My question to he, if not,
Yeah, thanks, Yemi. I
yeah,
think it's a very common thing that happened because a
yeah,
lot of lecturers may not understand,
yeah.
what they might go through. And some might use the justification you are adults now, handle it on your own. So yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
with you, Yemi, to just seek that help, to just ask for the extra guidance because it's not something that everyone automatically know what to do, especially within a project. Plus, some team members can be very nasty as well. So I guess that's where we need to live with diversity, lah. So yes, do keep on reaching out for help. There are people who would help one. And I know within my department also, my head of department is very compassionate. So whenever there's any student problems like this, we actually are told to really help the student and find out what's going on, rather than just simply, push them aside. All right. We also received questions before the event. Shall I read them out? All right. Number one is how to choose academic pathway for 11-year-old Mao ASD daughter, currently in mainstream Chinese school. Very general question, which is also very hard to answer, I think.
Hello, Professor Alvin. Can you repeat the question because I would like to answer this question.
Okay. How to choose academic pathway for an 11-year-old Mao autistic daughter who's currently in mainstream Chinese school?
I would say that for L1 students who are enrolled in SJKCs, you have to really carve out a niche because I know that SJKCs can be very stressful, but if you are able, but what you can do right now is you have to curate a pathway for your son or daughter. So you need to find the niche. I would say that the main thing is don't let the spark to study fizzle. Do not let the spark to study to fizzle. That is very important because once an autistic child loses any kind of motivation to study, they would not want to study. So that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Ivan. Basically, don't equate study with trauma.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah, it is a tough question, actually. Let's move on to the second one. Kindly share the opportunities available for neurodivergent students. Which educational institutes have courses for them? Yeah, it's a tough one as well. I would think all courses are available.
Yeah,
and
Dr. Alvin, may I
yes,
take
please,
on the
Fahmi, carry on.
question?
Yes.
Yeah. In order for the courses, a parent need to ask the child what is your interest, because like not all because the interest for person with with autism are all different, which means like not everyone can play piano. I cannot play piano. Not everyone can draw, but I can draw. Not everyone is like a mathematics. I really fail in mathematics. I cannot do it. So it depends on what the child's interest and what the academic qualification is. Uh, if if the parent asks me what is the suitable courses for neurodivergence, it can be anything. However, there's a however. When someone enter into the courses or a major, it may be like the first person, first neurodivergent who are in the major or courses. It may even in the whole faculty in the first cases, and the lecturers and also the management staff there, they don't know what to do. So this is the best. The thing is that it's the best to learn from the other parents, and other faculty who are already accepting neurodivergence and students with disability. Uh, because I believe that because even this is like my experience during Himalaya, most of the disabled are thrown to either arts, social science, or into the Malay studies because they thought that okay, this is like the easiest one that the student can go through and graduate, which is I don't agree, because my major is one of the toughest of all that all the social sciences. I disagree with the statement like the arts paper is easier than, for example, science or computer science, because I have a junior who graduated with computer science. I met someone who are graduated with accounting. It can be anything. Never like limit. The only determinant is that the parent need to ask what is the interest and what the job that the child want to, and what the career he or she want to go to in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fahmi. Very good answer there. All right, we've got
Dr.
another
Alvin?
question. Yes,
Yes,
Yemi.
sorry. I have another.
Time's up.
Yeah, no, not yet. I have one more question here in the chat. It's from Ilya, who is an autistic adult, I presume. Maybe we could.
No,
Alvin.
I'm not an autistic adult.
Yeah.
My son is a 2E. So
Ah.
yeah. So the thing is, nowadays 2Es are starting to go into universities. Okay. So how can we ensure universities can help them? Could AIM maybe help them? Because a lot of the university, they say they understand autism, but even when we suggest alternative assessment, they just say, oh, it's extra time because they want to do the traditional, the traditional exams and all. They don't understand that some neurodivergent student, it's not only about extra time, it's a different way they answer, because some autistic mind works in different way. So could I'm help, or could anybody help in the awareness of this? Thank you.
Thanks. Well,
Thanks for your
that's
question.
twice exceptional, right? So this is something that is fairly new to me too. You know, I don't think I can answer that. But for AIM High, we are learning about it. We had a speaker beginning of the year, a parent too. So that's all the answer I can give you. Maybe the other panels or Dr. Alvin at Sunway may have experience of that.
I don't know whether the parent may know about the National Association of Gifted Children. It might be a place to start in terms of advocacy and also learning what other parents who have children who are twice exceptional. So being on the gifted range as well as having autism would be able to help. Yeah, so maybe that is one avenue. But I also wanted to add that just with autism, advocacy has been taking place for years and years. And now people are starting to understand about twice exceptional. And maybe that also requires time for institutions to understand it. And so maybe for many people here, this is the first time they might be hearing this term 2E being used. And 2E can be used for other things like ADHD and giftedness as well. So there's a variety of 2Es. And perhaps making the first steps. I think there are some parents here, to my knowledge, they also make the first step in their school to introduce, oh, this is called autism, this is called selective mutism, this is called whatever it is, yeah. And speaking out and helping others to understand is maybe the first step to break the stigma.
Yeah, thanks, Cheng Yi. Okay, just a quick time check, Yemi.
Yes.
We finishing what time?
I was going to say that maybe we take a last question. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
last
you.
question. Do you want to pick from the chat or shall I read out the next one from what we had earlier recorded?
Ken, you can read out the question. Thank you.
Okay, okay, there's a situation here. My daughter is 15 years old, level 1 ASD. How do we know if she is ready for college life and being further away from us? Also another very tricky one because, there's so many things you can answer, right? So I suppose, yeah, this could be the last question where you all take about 10 minutes each to answer.
Maybe I can start first. I'm not a parent to start with. Yeah, so but as an individual, so basically I was diagnosed with dyslexia at 17. Then with autism at level 1 autism at 28. And I would say that to know whether to know your child is ready or not, for what do you call it, college life, is that I think like Mrs. Yemi Ang said that bring your child to the campus, go around, ask people how they actually learn. You can ask any of the students or any lecturers how you approach this case against my child. Is my child is overwhelmed. How is my child gonna, if my child has problems with navigation, is there a person that she or he can refer to? Because when I was in UIA, my first difficulty was actually finding the classroom, believe it or not, at 27, but at 32 years old. So then luckily they realized that I had difficulty and actually got someone to guide me to the classroom for the first 4 weeks of my what do you call it, studies. So and to know whether they're ready to, in a way, fly by themselves, maybe the approach that we can take are like, there are programs like the 2+2, the ADTP, where they do 2 years in Malaysia and 2 years in the overseas campus. So those programs are very suitable. So you can actually like gauge like, all right, my child has done okay in Malaysia, maybe it's okay in another country. So those are things that you could try. Also ask about the type of assessments, because like for myself, I'm really bad at exams, but I do very well with essays, paperwork. So I personally choose 2 programs that didn't need me to do what do you call it, internship, and allowed me to do for my final year. Instead of internship, I did a final year project. Even my diploma didn't have an internship. So look at the way they assess and how your child is ready to accept the assessment. So that's from an autistic point of view.
Thank you, Adila. Very good one.
Yeah, Prof. Alvin, I
Yeah.
would like to give my opinion. I think two perspective. One is just now what Yemi said, I think is very good, is that you observe the campus, ask the lecturers, ask the program head to see whether the campus and the university is ready to support the student, right? That's one aspect. Another aspect is, how do we know, I mean, in my opinion, how do we know that the child is ready? I think one of the very important thing is to ask the child. To me, is have to talk to the child, ask what the child thinks about university life. What does university life mean to him? That is I think very important communication that need to go through, because we need to know what the child actually sees, what they expect, and how can we support from there. So I think that communication is very important. Yeah, my opinion. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chi. I guess the other thing would be to also ask them how comfortable they would be working in collaboration with strangers, making new friends. If friendship making is a difficult thing, then perhaps that's something that you might want to facilitate first before going into college, because a lot of lecturers like to give group projects because it is part of what they want to see as an outcome of education, that you're able to collaborate. and deal with social difficulties where needed. Okay, one question, I think a comment just came in.
Can I share from a mother's perspective?
Please, Cheng Yi.
Since I
Yes.
just sent my child overseas also. Yeah, so fresh from, I think it takes baby steps. So, you know, I think it takes a whole life to kind of prep a child to go overseas or, you know, do anything that you will let them go completely. So I think really having this intentional planning that, you know, do they even go stay overnight somewhere, or do they even order food by themselves, take a LRT, take a Grab? I mean, there are many little milestones that you ask yourself, and my child have been able to do this? And there's many dimensions to being successful, to be able to look after yourself when you go overseas. So it's not just the physical things, but emotionally, do they know where to get help? Do they know how to solve their own problems? You know, because you're not going to be there and you're not going to be able to see what is going to happen. I think for you as well, are you ready or not to let go? Because I think if we kind of reflect, you know, and we communicate to them that we are scared of letting them go, then they'll be also thinking, what's wrong with me? Or why is my parent not so confident in me? I think I'm still needing my mom and dad, you know, to do things. So I think it's our posture also. So I think these are the things. It's a two-way process. You yourself doing the letting go and in small steps, and also letting your child learn. And sometimes they fail, or you know, something happened, they make mistakes, but don't react because you have to show them your confidence that yeah, you learn, you made a mistake today, but maybe tomorrow you will be wiser, smarter, and that's the way to get them ready for overseas education.
Thank you, Cheng Yi.
Helps.
I guess parenting is about getting your child to be as independent as possible, as quickly as possible, and able for them to demonstrate to you what they can do so that you can be confident about them. Not an easy answer. Okay. Thank you very much for all your questions. Should I pass this back to Yemi?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Okay.
Yemi.
Yeah. I think we have had a very, great, informative and insightful time, right? From the panelists and right from also Cheng Yi sharing. But before we close, at any time, you can follow us, okay, Aim High at Facebook, Gmail, and also Linktree. We will continue the team here, the autistic adults here, the panelists here, and their members will continue to advocate for their rights in their university. Plus, hopefully next year we will look at workplace again, okay? Because it is a constant reminder as well to everyone, okay, that our special people are out there. I am a parent, okay? My son is 36 this year. So I am thankful that I have him. Otherwise, I won't know the difference of and the neurodiversity out there. And it is such a pleasure that we together can make the world a better place, okay? Thank you so much, everyone, for coming to join us. And don't forget, please, to fill up the feedback form. It's in the chat. Can you kindly go there and before we leave to fill up the form? And one last thing, if you don't mind, I would ask that you kindly, put your video on so that we can all take a photo. Okay, I need to do 3 times. All right, everyone, thank you. Okay, first page. Yeah, everyone. Okay. Now I'm on page 1 on all videos. Smile. I hope Fawaz, you're also helping me do this. Thank you. Okay, next one, next page, phase 2. Hello, phase 2. Yep. Thank you. All right. And phase 3. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you again for coming, and don't forget, please, to fill up the feedback form. Truly appreciated. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, God bless.
Everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And you have
Yes,
the platform as well.
Sorry, who is that speaking?
Ivan, I think.
Okay, Ivan. Yes, you may leave.
Do I need to? Oh, so to fill up the feedback form as well?
No, you don't need to. You don't need to. If you
Oh,
can't,
okay.
it's okay. You're on the
We-
phone, right? Yeah.
Are we going to post-mortem it?
Yeah, thank you.
We will.
Oh, okay.
We will. And we will use it to for our